Boom! Europe's old empires just got played. You think you're top dog? Think again. This is Operation Musketeer. In July 1956, Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser made a bold move. He nationalized the Suez Canal, the economic lifeline linking Europe to Asia. The canal had been run by British and French companies for decades. Suddenly, the Europeans were cut out of their own trade route. Britain and France were furious. They saw it as a direct challenge to their influence in the Middle East. Israel had its own problems with Egypt too. Secretly, the three nations struck a deal. They would invade Egypt under the guise of a peacekeeping operation. The code name? Operation Musketeer. The military buildup was massive. About 45,000 British troops and 34,000 French troops were prepared to roll. Naval firepower? Huge, over 200 British ships, including 7 aircraft carriers and around 30 French ships. Tanks, artillery, and thousands of vehicles were ready to storm the canal zone. The plan: surprise, shock, and seize key positions fast. Commanders were top-notch. General Sir Hugh Stockwell led the British ground forces. French Major General André Beaufort handled French troops. Air Marshal Denis Barnett commanded air operations, and Vice Admiral Robin Durnford Slater oversaw the British fleet. On November 5, 1956, the first parachute drop hit El Gamil airfield near Port Said. 3rd Battalion, British Parachute Regiment, dropped from the sky. French paratroopers hit Port Fouad simultaneously. The goal: secure airfields and clear the way for the landings. Next day, November 6th, amphibious landings began. British Royal Marines hit the beaches. Tanks rolled in. Helicopters landed troops. One of the first ever combat helicopter assaults in history. Jets from the RAF and French Air Force strafed Egyptian positions. The canal was the prize. Port Said had to fall. Egypt didn't go quietly. Ships were sunk to block access. The Egyptian army fought fiercely. Around 100,000 Egyptian troops opposed roughly 80,000 Allied forces. Hundreds of tanks, artillery, and aircraft clashed in the canal zone. Allied casualties were relatively light, about 30 British killed. Egyptian losses were far higher, around 1,650 dead and 6,000 captured. Despite early military success, the political fallout hit hard. The United States, led by President Eisenhower, was furious. No one wanted a European colonial war escalating in the Middle East during the Cold War. The Soviet Union also issued threats. International pressure mounted. By November 6th, just one day after major landings, Britain and France agreed to a ceasefire. UN peacekeepers would oversee the area. Anglo-French troops withdrew by the end of 1956. Nasser emerged victorious politically, and the Suez Canal remained under Egyptian control. Operation Musketeer is a classic example of military success paired with political failure. Britain and France lost international prestige. Their empires were no longer unchallenged. Nasser's reputation soared in the Arab world. The Suez Crisis also marked the first deployment of a large-scale UN peacekeeping force, setting a precedent for future conflicts. The crisis changed the global order. It demonstrated that Europe's old powers were no longer dominant. The United States and Soviet Union were the real superpowers. The Middle East became a Cold War flashpoint. And the lessons of Musketeer? Bold plans can backfire spectacularly if politics aren't in your corner. Operation Musketeer might have looked like a textbook invasion. Paratroopers, tanks, helicopters, and jets, all executed with precision. But geopolitics laughed in the faces of the planners. The war was short, the battles fierce, but the consequences? Long-lasting. Empire lost. Nasser won. The world shifted. And the Suez Canal, that tiny strip of water connecting continents, became a symbol of power, pride, and politics. History shows that even the most meticulous plans can crumble under diplomacy, pressure, and public opinion. Operation Musketeer is a lesson, etched in sand and smoke over the Suez, that winning on the battlefield doesn't always mean winning the war. Boom. That's Musketeer.